Please welcome Mr. Parker.
You know, it's always good to figure out what you're doing before you do it. And what I figured out is that it is fantastic to be in this room at this time with these beautiful faces, having accomplished what you've accomplished today. Give yourselves a hand for making this accomplishment reality. I was trying to figure out what I was going to say because we got the mayor coming. And you know, there's an old expression that says, I'm not the preacher, I'm not the preacher's son, but I'll do the preaching till the preacher comes. And that preacher is Mayor Anthony Fox, our mayor right here in Charlotte. We're delighted to have him coming by this evening. I did want to say a few things to you and bring you a message for this auxiliary. Now, I realize that we have guests with us tonight that are not members of this auxiliary. But I come to you not just as chairman of the North Carolina Democratic Party and your chairman, but I come to you as president, former president of the Young Democrats of North Carolina. Because I believe in what an auxiliary can do, and I want to talk about that role a little bit tonight, because we've gathered together here in convention from all across the state. I'm also here to honor Willie Freeman, your new President Fleming, Willie Fleming, our new president, who played trumpet behind a fantastic band at one time and is going to lead this auxiliary to great places, just like Archie Bell and the girl. That's what happens when you try to write a speech on the fly while you're eating your salad. It's not a good idea. This group has had some stutter steps, and I realize that Harold Harrison is not in the room tonight, but I want y'all to applaud him for carrying this group for this last year and the hard work that he did. I want to thank Philip Cooper as well for being a candidate today. You know, you got to have a conversation. Sometimes those conversations are in contested elections. Sometimes they're casual. But you got to have that conversation. And I want to honor him for running today and putting his name forward. I also want us to think about how we successfully rechartered this group. You know, this was not a unanimous thing. Those of y'all that were there on the floor, how many of y'all are on the state executive committee? You were there. All of y'all were there. You know, we had a little bit of work that we had to do in order to make this a reality. But we got through that. So what do auxiliaries do? They do a lot of things. They reach out and recruit new people. They recruit candidates. And I'm very serious about this. We have 170 seats in the General Assembly that are coming up in 2012. You've got some remarkable members of the General Assembly here gathered in this room. They need help. This auxiliary needs to help in the recruiting of candidates so that every one of those seats is contested all across North Carolina. We need you to do that. We need you to be at the table when the plans are made. The time when the Democratic Party reached out to African Americans in this state at the last moment and said, we're going to get out the vote, is over. Seats at the table. That's part of what we're about. I'm dedicated to that. President Fleming is dedicated to that. And why is that? Because in the Democratic Party, we are a connected people. We understand the power of connection, whether it's rich, poor, black, white, male, female. We understand the power of connection. That is the essence of America. That's the essence of North Carolina. That's the essence of this group. Now, I want to point this out to y'all. As you think about what we're doing in 2012, because we're under siege. We're under siege. I want you to think, if you will, about what is being said out there in the public. There are people in this state that want to turn North Carolina back to the heyday of Jesse Helms. You have to stop them. There are people in this country, there are people in this state that want to turn back to the day of Jim Crow laws. You have to stop them. No one else is going to do it for you. You have to stop them yourself. There are people in this country that want to take us back to the days of poll taxes. You have to stop them. No one will do it for you. You have to do it yourself. There are people that want to take this country back to a day of literacy tests. You have to stop them. No one will do it for you. You have to do it for yourself. Now there's that fine old hymn, and you know it. Jesus walked that lonesome valley. He had to walk it by himself. We walk by ourselves from time to time, but we have to do this ourselves. Because nobody else will walk that path for you. You've got to do it yourself. You have to raise yourself up. You have to make a difference. Dr. King told us that he had a dream once upon a time. And sometimes I think this country has forgotten that dream. He said that we would sit together in his dream and judge each other on the content of our character and not on the color of our skin. But I want you to look out at that world that we see outside the friendly confines of this hall and see what's happening. These new election districts that the Republicans have foisted over on the people of this state, they are designed to judge us by the color of our skin, are they not? You have to stop this. You have to stop it yourself. No one will stop it for you. You've got to stop it yourself. I want you to look at voter ID. Blatantly designed to judge us by the color of our skin and not by the content of our character. You have to stop this. You have to stop it yourself. No one will stop it for you. Public education. Look what they did in Wake County. They judged little children how? By the color of their skin and not by the content of their character. You have to stop that. You have to stop it now. No one else will stop it for you. If we fail to relight the torch handed to us by Dr. King, we fail his legacy, we fail his memory, we fail the memory that each and every one of you in this room, black and white, has of sacrifices that were made to enable us to sit here as a connected people and break bread together in this wonderful place. Because you have to raise that torch up. It's not enough to raise it up in your household. It's not enough to raise it up in your church. You've got to take it to the streets. If you go out from this place tonight, if you go out from this city and back into your community and you let that torch burn out, or you just light it in your household, then what have you done? You've hidden that light under a bushel. You have to stop this. You have to stop it yourself. No one else will stop it for you. Now, you've heard sermons, and I'm not in a preaching style tonight. I'm in a lecturing style tonight. And if you don't know, don't say that, because I'll get to preaching. If you don't say it, we got the preacher coming. I'm just the emissary. I'm John the Baptist out in the wilderness. One far greater than me is coming behind me, and he will bring the light of the Holy Spirit onto his shoulders and the Spirit into this room and make you believe and understand what we're coming from and what we're about. But I'm just a Baptist. So what can you do? How do you lift high the torch? How do you take it to the streets? You've had school board candidates in this city that are running for office. You have to go make a difference. You have to elect these school board candidates in your town and in this town to keep Mecklenburg from turning into Wake County. I want those candidates to raise their hands and stand candidates for school board, Democratic candidates for school board here in this room. Here they are. Recognize these people. Know who they are. Go out and make a difference. Ask yourself every day, did I make a difference today? Every day. We're 3 days away from this election. Every day, 72 hours from now, something's going to happen. You're either going to turn this town back into where it was before Judge McMillan said we were going to straighten this out ourselves, or just let it go. So what else can you do? You elect this vibrant young mayor, this preacher that's coming before us in a few minutes, Anthony Fox, who is a beacon to this nation. We will see him at the National Convention here in Charlotte. He is a beacon for this nation. He needs to win, and he doesn't need to just win by 50% plus one. He needs to win overwhelmingly and thrash those Republicans just like they so richly deserve. We've got to nominate an African American for statewide office on the Council of State here in North Carolina. It is foolishness itself for us to have an all-white slate of candidates for Council of State. It's got to stop. You've got to make a difference. You've got to do it yourself. Nobody else is going to walk that Lonesome Valley for you. You've got to walk it yourself. A strong candidate will come before you and will present himself or herself. Listen carefully. Because we need a candidate that is African American running statewide in this state. And you will see those people. Commissioner of Labor is an incredibly important position that has been left for a Republican to hold. It is an insult to the peace and dignity of this state. You go make a difference. And here's the biggest challenge, because it starts now. We have a president of these United States that is being judged by far too many people, not for the content of his character, not for his intellect, but for the color of his skin. You have to stop it. This President Barack Obama, you have to re-elect him. You have to make a difference. So the judgment stops here. Stops in this room, stops in this town, stops in this place, stops at these tables, stops when you leave this place and go back to wherever your home is. You have to make a difference. So what can you do specifically? There's 3 things I ask you to do, and some of y'all have heard me say this before. I will say it again and again because it's so simple. I want you to do 3 things. Number 1, I want you to show up. And you've done it. You've done it here tonight. When that candidate comes, show up. When that candidate asks for you to simply be out there on election day, show up. The next thing is put up. Put up your time, your talents, and your resources. We sit here in our finery tonight with each other, and but we look handsome. But somebody made a sacrifice for us to be able to do that. When we are asked to give our time, our talents, our money, and our resources, and we fail to do it, we have failed that legacy. So number 1, show up. Number 2, put up. Number 3, speak up. Someone will say something catty about this president at your workplace Wednesday. Someone will say something snide in church tomorrow. You've got to speak up, because you're the ones that will win this campaign. You are the ones that will re-elect this president. You are the ones that will make a difference. I'm asking you to do 3 things. Show up, put up, speak up, and if you do those things, you'll get fired up and ready to win. Let's go to work.